Welcome back. Indigenous contributions to the world. We're looking at F for forest management. And this is pre-2000 BC, North American, Northeast, Southeast, Subarctic, Great Plains, and California cultures. Alright? American Indian peoples were well aware that the forest and wildlife that they lived among was going to only thrive best when it was managed wisely. Although the land that the Europeans encountered when they set foot on North America was less so-called tame than that of Europe, it was not the vast, wild, and untended expanse many history books describe. American Indians had been deliberately shaping the character of the forest for centuries before they began to practice agriculture, thousands of years before the arrival of non-Indians. You understand what I'm saying? So we're just talking about how even before they began to practice organized gardening, agriculture, even before they began to do agriculture, they were already beginning to shape things and beginning to put things in place, and it was just pretty much like an evolution process. We see how this works. Okay, let's turn it up a notch. Let's turn it up a notch. You see what I'm saying? The large trees and park-like grassy areas that the colonists reported seeing in the New England forest of North America were a result of controlled burn practicing by American Indians to remove underbush and allow trees such as pines and hardwoods used for canoes and roof beams of longhouses to grow unimpeded. So I kind of stumbled through that, but basically they were saying that they would burn underbush in order to keep away weeds. Kind of the same thing like with a garden with weeds. You burn the underbush to keep away the weeds so the plants can grow properly. And they also used to use this wood to make their canoes. Because they use brush for fuel, they routinely cleared the forest of dead wood and undergrowth, which limited the effects of forest fires. They also knew how to use backfires to control larger fires. A backfire is a controlled burn behind the line of fire and serves to destroy the fuel. And serves to destroy the fuel the flames need to survive. American Indians taught settlers on the plains how to use this technique to protect their cabins and wagons during prairie wildfires. So it talks about, as you continue to read this, it just talks about the different practices they would use and how it would also benefit them when it talks about the growth of berries and different things like this. And it also talks about later on, after learning things from natives and taking over, that a lot of these colonizers, they didn't know what to do. So a lot of forest fires and things like that started to develop. It took them a few hundred years before they realized what was actually going on. You know what I'm saying? And how they started trying to begin to control that in 1905. You know what I'm saying? When the U.S. Forest Service was therefore established to manage newly created national forests and parks. Because they didn't know how to manage it. They didn't understand it. So a lot of the territories and land that we see now that looks crazy driving up and down streets is simply because they didn't know how to take care of it. So now that's what we're dealing with. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like the process of like when you get a job. You ever had a job and then over top of you, they make changes. So the big bosses and all them different people, they make changes. They bring in a new company and then they hire their own people and they get you to teach the person something, and then they fire you. Well, that's what the hell this is. And if you look at the forest fires and things like this, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of things going on with videos about people actually setting fires to a lot of these actual forests, like from helicopters and shit. Also, it might just come from the fact that they don't know how to manage it. See, when they dropping those fires from their plane, they might be trying to mimic things that I was just reading about here when you talk about forest management. They're trying to mimic the forest management of the original indigenous people when they come around with these helicopters and do shit like this, but they're not able to, obviously they're not able to sustain it because this is a constant thing. You know what I'm saying? And it talks about how this would plague California. And these, basically Native Americans back in the 1600s, they already had preventative measures to keep forest fires and shit like this that we see tearing up Cali today. They already were doing shit like this hundreds of years ago. You understand what I'm saying? To prevent it. So now when you see it, it's just that it's just things keep escalating just due to the way they keep manipulating nature. So forest management, I just thought that was kind of coincidental, just looking at, like I say, today's times, and you go back in history and just see how they were already taking, like I said, preventative measures. So that's F for forest management. I'm gonna see you next time when we do G, and we're gonna see what we do for G. Thanks for watching.